I like the rawness of not the sound because the technology wasn't good, but the rawness of the first two or three records were okay. I like those. Destroyer from the 70s and Creatures of the Night, I thought was pretty good from the beginning of the 80s. And then in the 90s, I like Revenge. And so those records are slightly different sides of Kiss, but they sound like, Kiss because of the songwriting and the vocals. So I think those three records put together are pretty good. And there were other bands that had more pop. Crazy Nights had more pop, and Dynasty had more little dance, little this, little that. But the epitome of Kiss, I think, is Destroyer, Creatures of the Night, and Revenge.
Okay. I have one question which has to do with Gene Simmons, especially. In 2004, you released this, from my point of view, second album called Asshole, which is great. And there's a song, Waiting for the Morning Light, which you wrote together with Bob Dylan. Do you remember how it was like to shoot with Bob Dylan, how to perform, how to compose with him, and what you have talked about him? Is there a story behind?
Well, life should be about being brave. If you never ask a girl to dance, you never know if she's going to dance with you. There's a chance she will say no, but you have to take the chance because maybe she'll say yes. So I always admired Bob Dylan's songwriting. There's so many songs covered by Jimi Hendrix and the Byrds and every kind of musician and band did Bob Dylan songs because they're great. Even Lennon copied the way Dylan sang, and Tom Petty wanted to sound like Bob Dylan. So I picked up the phone and I called the manager, a guy named Kramer. Hi, it's Gene Simmons. Hey, you think Bob wants to write a song with me? He goes, Bob wants to write a song with you? How about, do you want to write a song with Bob Dylan? And I was ready for him to say, no, that's not going to happen. But Bob got on the phone. Yeah, sure. When do you want to do it? And within 2 days, he came up to my house.
Okay.
And I recorded the songwriting process.
Okay.
I had the largest box set of all time called The Vault, which came out, and I put in 167 tracks that were never released. And one of the tracks was Bob and I starting to write songs. And out of that songwriting came 3 different versions of Waiting for the Morning Light, which I also put on the box set. And Bob came up with a lot of the chords. I came up with the melody and the lyric, but I wanted Bob to write the lyrics for it. And he would say, yeah, all right, you can't really understand what Bob is saying. Does he like that, And for the next 2 or 3 years, we would see each other on tour. And I would say, Bob, you got to finish the lyric. He goes, no, Mr. Kiss, you do it. He would keep calling me Mr. Kiss. Oh, you write the lyric. It's good. You write it. So eventually I wrote the lyric.
It's a wonderful story. Thank you for telling me that. But is it true that maybe you know this Netflix documentary about the Rolling Thunder Tour by Bob Dylan in '76? And he is wearing white paint in his face. Is it right that he is influenced by Kiss, by you?
Yes, that is all true. And in the documentary, Bob tells the story. I was in a club in New York City, and I saw a beautiful girl with long black hair, whose name was Scarlett Rivera.
Okay.
So I took her home that night, and we spent some time. This was in the late 70s, maybe 77, 78. And we spent the night together, and it was wonderful, and she's beautiful and all that. And she saw on my walls, there were posters and things, of the band, big billboards. And she said, what's that? I said, well, that's my band. I'm in that band. It's Kiss. You never heard of it? I said, you're kidding. We're the #1 band in the world and everything. She goes, no, I never heard of it. I said, well, next time we play, I'll bring you out. And I said, what do you do? And she said, I play violin. I said, oh, terrific. In a symphony orchestra? She goes, no, I tour with Bob Dylan. What? She was the violin player with Bob Dylan. And they were rehearsing about to go out on that tour. So the next time we played, she told Bob all about it. She said, why do you wear the makeup? And I didn't know what to say. So I said, this was before we had screens in the back.
Okay.
So I said, we wear the makeup so you can see our faces all the way from the back. So the white, just like in silent movies, the white face and the black lipstick or red lipstick, you can see the face farther away. She told Bob about it. Bob came to see the band, and yes, Kiss influenced him. He went and started to put on white face on the Rolling Thunder tour. And he said in the documentary, yeah, I saw Kiss and I put that in the back of my mind. That's a good idea.
Wonderful. It's a great story. Maybe one more question, which has nothing to do with Kiss or Gene Simmons, but with music and things which you've mentioned. And before I come back to Kiss again, it's a completely different question. It has to do with another Canadian rock poet named Leonard Cohen. And he said when Bob Dylan got the award of the Nobel Prize for Literature, to me, he said, it's like pinning a medal on Mount Everest for being the highest mountain. What do you think about this statement? Maybe you've heard about it. And what do you think about Leonard Cohen at all? Have you ever met him? Or what do you think about Leonard Cohen's work and art? Because Dylan and Cohen are similar, I say similar.
Yes, Leonard Cohen was a giant in his melodies and lyrics. And Dylan was also a fan. Dylan used to go and see Leonard up in Canada, and they would compare notes and songwriting. But, there are not many people like Bob Dylan and Leonard Cohen. There are many people who write songs, and there's BTS, who's very popular, and they're fantastic. But when you have something, the ability to write melodies and lyrics that move your heart, that's different. That's another level. And yes, and Leonard was exactly right that Dylan continues to be, a giant with he's written hundreds and hundreds of songs. Many
Have you
of
ever
them.
met him, Leonard Cohen?
No,
Unfortunately.
Okay.
There is one more little question which has to do with that. People say Dylan is the Picasso of the popular music and Cohen is the Matisse. I would like to ask you, do you agree? And what kind of an artist and painter you are, because you are painting too?
Well, I think Kiss is more like the court jesters. When the kings and queens wanted entertainment, they would have food and then you'd have entertainment come in to juggle balls and all that. I don't know if Kiss means a lot.
Okay.
That's not what we do. Maybe what we do is raise the expectations of, if you buy a concert ticket, it's not enough just to strum a guitar. We don't charge the most for concert tickets, but we always give you the most, the biggest shows, fireworks, spectacle. But does it have a lot of meaning? More than this is a celebration of life. That's about as far as we go. And we use the word I. There are other bands that are fantastic that use the word we. We will rock you, we will do this, and we're not going to take it. And we talk about I. I love it loud. I was made for loving you. I. Ich is the most powerful word in any language. I was made for loving you. If you understand the power of I, and I wrote a song called I, then you will understand the power that everybody has. And that's why you can sing, I was made for loving you, if you are male or female, 5 years old or 500 years old, black, white, everybody has an I. That's why it's universal. And so we're more about using the word I, maybe of any band out there, because it's a point of view we have.